Hey everyone, it is Finn here. Hope you're all doing super well, and this is the video that terrifies me, as it is that time of year once again for me to give you my Premier League predictions for the 2021 Premier League season. And the reason I said it terrifies me is, believe it or not all the fans of all 20 Premier League clubs like where I place them on the table. And by the way, if I place your team lower on the table than what you expected, don't take it personally. It just means I think your team sucks. And by the way guys, before the video starts, I am sorry to ask you once again, but guys, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please do consider subscribing. It really does help the channel out a lot. Would love to reach 850 subscribers within the next 2 weeks. We are just about 10 subscribers away. It really does mean a lot to me, and I would really appreciate the support. And especially if you do subscribe, you can witness regular Premier League content, as I do weekly Premier League predictions. So you know what, if you like Premier League content, please do consider subscribing. Start off my Premier League predictions, rock bottom, dead last, the team that's going to hate me the most, and probably the reason I have to sleep with one eye open after this video. But you know what, it's very tricky to put a team 20th on the Premier League table, but I'm sorry West Brom fans, but I have to put you guys dead last. I think I just heard all 3 West Brom fans click off my video. But yes, West Brom, but you know what? Maybe they could surprise us, but you know what? At this current moment in time, they've made no big signings at the time of recording. At the time of recording, the only signing they have made is Pereira from Sporting Lisbon, who was loaned to them last season. He did an incredible job, and maybe on a permanent deal, he can improve and he can do even better. But at this current stage in time, that's the only kind of deal they've done. They have done a lot of contract renewals, but you know what, without improving their squad, I really do see them struggling in the Premier League next season. But you know what, I could be proven wrong. I did choose Sheffield United last season, and the one before that I chose Burnley in 20th place. Maybe West Brom can surprise us, but you know what, without improving their team off of last season, I can only see them come dead last. Now that we've gotten dead last out of the way, we move to 19th on the Premier League table. Second last, also not an easy one to predict, but it is going to be a team that really struggled in the Premier League last season. And I'm sorry Aston Villa, but I have to put you guys there. Now at this current point in time, the only real signing I've seen is a new right back for Aston Villa, and they have sold Pepe Reina to the likes of Lazio. But you know what? All they actually need is a proper striker, and they haven't gotten that yet. They've improved in defense, but they still need a proper striker. And until that happens, I do think Aston Villa are going to get relegated. The bad news for them, the shit has hit the fan. The good news for them is the strikers are so bad, they can't even hit the fan. But you know, looking on the upside for the likes of Aston Villa, it looks like they could keep Jack Grealish, which would be a huge bonus for them, and it looks like they will keep John McGinn, who although injured last season, when he did play, he was a big game changer. But as I said, sorry Aston Villa fans, until you improve your attack, I see you guys going straight back down. We then move on to 18th place on the Premier League table, which is another really tricky one because it is the last relegation spot for me to predict, which is basically me telling a team that they will just miss out on survival. It's a bit like getting your dog a girlfriend and then getting the dog neutered. They thought they had a chance, but really you've taken all joy away. But the last team in the relegation zone I will put there is Fulham, which I am sorry Fulham, I think you guys will go straight back down. It is a shame because about 2 seasons ago in the Premier League, you guys spent about £100 million on signings to redo the whole team, and you went straight back down. So I get why you are a bit financially unstable or a bit scared, but at this exact moment in time, you do need to improve your defense. The only real good things about you at the moment is, well, you've just signed 2 really good midfielders from Southampton, and Mitrovic in the striker position getting 26 goals in the Championship last season. But you know what, we do have to see him do it again in the Premier League, which isn't always possible. We saw that with the likes of Timu Puki with Norwich last season. It's hard to make that transition, but you know what, Fulham, as I said, until you improve your defense, I see you going straight back down, because I do see a lot of really good attacking teams in the Prem this season. Now that we've escaped the relegation zone, I'm a bit more relaxed, I'm a bit more chilled. I'm at that stage where I can say, hey, your team sucks, but they won't get relegated. And which team do I think will just survive in the Premier League? I am sorry, but I do think it will be West Ham in 17th place. I'm really sorry, Hammers, but you guys didn't perform well last season. But although you did gain form towards the end of last season, and in fact Antonio was the Premier League top scorer since football did return, I don't think you'll be able to continue that momentum off to this season. I think the break between seasons really has hindered your momentum. I don't think you'll be able to carry it on. You guys haven't bought anyone at the time of this video, and without buying players, you can't improve on your team. But unfortunately, you guys have spent a lot of money on players that haven't showed up for you guys. Felipe Anderson hasn't performed, Haller hasn't performed, and you guys, as I said, haven't bought anyone new. And without buying any players to help your attack, you guys have the creative ability of soggy toast on a rainy day. 16th place is next on the Premier League table. Now, unfortunately, I think from 17th all the way to maybe 14th place on the Premier League table, these teams aren't going to have that good of a season, and they're probably going to be within 9 points off each other. But which team do I think will still stay in the Premier League? I think it is going to be Crystal Palace, meaning I don't think they'll have that good a season overall, but I do think they'll still stay up. And the reason I've put Crystal Palace in 16th place is I saw a huge lack of creative ability from them last season, especially in the midfield, and we saw that especially when football returned. It took them a good 5-6 games for them to get any sort of points. But you know what? A huge signing for them is Easy, sorry I can't pronounce his name, that QPR attacking midfielder that they did get in this transfer window. I mean, 14 goals and 8 assists in the championship last season. He could be a deciding factor, and especially since last season, both of their main centre-backs at Crystal Palace were injured. Now they're back. I do think Crystal Palace do have a chance of staying in the Premier League. But as I said, it's all about that creative ability and giving the ball to the strikers up front. Otherwise, it's just like having a mouth and having a burger. You need that hand to get the burger to the mouth, you know? But as I said, hopefully Ease can be that deciding factor for creative chances, and hopefully Ayew can carry on his momentum from last season. 15th place on the Premier League table, I do think it will be newly promoted boys, Leeds United. Which Leeds United, do not attack me. Your fans cannot attack me saying that you're going to compete for the title, that you're going to go back to your glory days. Because the reality is, you're not. There's a reason you haven't been in the Premier League for 16 years. You don't have the same quality that you used to. But when it comes to the signings and the quality in your squad, I mean, you've got some standout players. Phillips in the defensive midfield position, I think could really stand his ground, and he looks really, really strong. Casillas in goal looks really, really good. Koch, their new signing and centre-back from Freiburg, he has potential to be very, very good. And Rodrigo in the striker position, I don't know, on paper, it looks like a great signing. I mean, over 170 league appearances for Valencia, 4 league titles with Real Madrid, one of Spain's main international strikers. But football isn't played on paper. In reality, Rodrigo got about 4 goals for Valencia in the league last season. They do need more players with a scoring ability at Leeds, and I don't think their glory days are coming anytime soon. But I do think they'll rest comfortably in 15th place on the table. 14th place on the Premier League table, so you're not 14th place, it's quite comfortable on the Premier League table, and probably a bit generous. I am going to put Newcastle United there, whose same situation as Aston Villa. They desperately need a new striker, as their top scorer last season was he who cannot be named. When Lord Voldemort, when John Joe Shelby is your top scorer, then you know your team has problems. And you know what, Newcastle, you keep getting these threats that there's going to be this huge takeover, this buyover for your club, and you're going to get Ibrahimovic, Ronaldo, Messi. But guys, at this stage, it's exactly like when your parents promise you to get a puppy year after year after year, and all of a sudden you're 19 years old and you're still waiting for your puppy. At the end of the day, it's just not going to happen, Newcastle United. I'm sorry, you guys just need to desperately invest in getting a striker who can start scoring goals. Because at the end of the day, you've got some really good, really creative players in your squad, but a striker is what you need. And until then, I don't see you being a mid-table team. 13th place on the Premier League table, so getting closer and closer to being a mid-table team. I am going to put Sheffield United, a team everyone just loved last Premier League season, who I put 20th last season, and majority of last season they spent it in a Champions League or a Europa League spot. I do think that it was a tiny bit of a honeymoon phase for Sheffield United last season. I thought everything was going really well. Then I think this season they're going to wake up from the honeymoon and realize they married a pineapple. You know, it's still not the worst thing in the world. I mean, I'll take a pineapple any day over my current situation. But you know what, Sheffield United, I don't think they're going to have as good a season as they did last season. And of course, a big point for them is they don't have the likes of Dean Henderson anymore. He's moved back to Manchester United, but they did get Aaron Ramsey Ramsdale from Bournemouth, which is a really good signing for them. But 13th place, I don't think that's a bad position for them at all. I think Sheffield United will be really happy. I think they overperformed, if anything, last season. And I think 13th place for Sheffield United with their current squad is not bad by any means. 12th place on the Premier League table. Now this is probably where you can start to classify teams as a mid-table team. Probably a bit generous. I am going to put Brighton there. Now that might come as a shock, as I know lots of other people don't expect Brighton to perform. I mean, they only picked up less than a handful of wins in the second half of last Premier League season, and the majority of their good performances came in the beginning of last season. But I think there will be a mid-table team this Premier League season. I mean, look, big talks are the fact that they got rid of Aaron Moy in the centre mid position, but they got Adam Lallana, which in my opinion, I think Adam Lallana will do a much better job than the likes of Aaron Moyes. I think Adam Lallana could start in most Premier League teams, and I think he has that ability to drive Brighton to be a mid-table Premier League club. Also looking at other signings, they got Ben White back from loan at Leeds United, where he had an excellent season, which even if Ben White doesn't start at Brighton, he adds excellent squad depth. And in the right back position, they sold Montoya, but they got Veltman from Ajax, who, I mean, if you look at the likes of Veltman, he is one of the Eredivisie's best right backs at the moment. Excellent signing for the likes of Brighton, and he's even Netherlands' main right back at the moment. Veltman, excellent signing, and I think Brighton can push for a mid-table spot this season. 11th place on the Premier League table. Now this is going to be the team that just misses out on the Premier League top 10, and it is going to be Arsenal. No, I'm kidding, Arsenal, please don't attack me. I do think it will be Burnley. Yes, unfortunately, I do think Burnley will be one position worse off than last season, but Burnley, I don't think they'll be unhappy with 11th place on the table. Defensively, they looked so strong last season. Obviously, Nick Pope, one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League last season, and Tarkowski statistically looked better than Virgil van Dijk. And both attackers, I think, did a solid job for the likes of Burnley last season, but I do think they need more creative ability in the squad if they want to start scoring more goals, because you can't just have all that pressure on the defense of Burnley, because that's a problem. If you don't have that creative ability in midfield and attack, lots of pressure is put on defense and you will lose a lot of points. And that is where I find that Burnley do need a striker like Danny Ings or someone like that, or even if they go out and buy someone like Daniel Sturridge, they do need a striker like that who can score a bit more frequently. But you know what, if they can perform exactly like they did last season, then I think they'll be really happy with this current season. The big talks, of course, is if they can keep on to McNeil in the wing position, then I think they will do a solid job this season. But I do see them getting rid of McNeil in the next transfer window, if not this one, as he has really improved as a player. Now we get into the top 10 of the Premier League, where it really gets exciting, and 10th place, just sneaking into the top 10 of the Premier League, I think it's going to be Southampton, which, wow, if you told me the way Southampton would perform towards the end of the season, I'll tell you you're lying. After that 9-0 loss to the likes of Leicester City, I would have told you that Southampton has more of a chance of staying in the Premier League as I do of getting a girlfriend. But yes, Southampton really picked up on form towards the end of last season. And if you look at the likes of Danny Ings, 20 goals for the Southampton striker. I mean, he was just scoring for fun. The only problem I really have with Southampton at the moment is they've sold 3 really big midfielders for them in the likes of Reed, Holmberg and Lamina. I think those are midfielders that they really will miss, as the likes of Lamina has a big physical presence and Holmberg as well. I do think they need to start stacking up on the midfield if they do want to improve. But in terms of the defense, I actually think their defense looked really organized at times, and I would say their midfield is probably their main priority at the moment, especially if you get the likes of Shea Adams scoring more and more and more. I think him and Ings could form a deadly partnership up front. 9th place on the Premier League table is a team that I think will improve drastically off of last season's performances, and I do think it will be Everton, which it will be quite exciting this season, as it will hopefully be Carlo Ancelotti's first full season as a manager if he doesn't get sacked. But I think lots of players would really like to work under a manager like him with a huge history behind him, and especially if you look at players already in the club performing. Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison up front had excellent seasons, scoring 13 goals each in the Premier League last season. And in terms of transfers being brought in, Allen from Napoli is an excellent signing. Although didn't do that well for Napoli last season, in seasons before that he really performed so well. And although it's not confirmed yet, by the time this video is out, hopefully maybe it will be, James Rodriguez, if this is official, what an excellent signing, as James Rodriguez could add so much depth to this Everton squad. I'm not sure what Real Madrid are doing not playing a player like him. It's the same as them not playing the likes of Gareth Bale. But you know what? Could be an excellent signing for the likes of Everton, and I think could really boost them to being closer to a European spot. I mean, look, can we please get the Everton agent at Manchester United? I mean, they're signing players like that with ease. Well, at Manchester United, we've wanted Jadon Sancho for about 2 years now. That hasn't happened. We instead gave Matic a contract extension. How does that happen? 8th place is going to be a team who, in my opinion, I think will seriously underperform, and I'm so sorry. Leicester City, I like you guys, but I think you guys are going to come 8th. I think you guys look really good at parts in the Premier League last season. I mean, heck, there was even a stage of the season where it looked like you were the only team to compete with the likes of Liverpool. But at the end of the day, ever since football returned after lockdown, you guys looked dreadful. And unfortunately, I don't see you performing the same way this season as you did in the beginning of last season. And you guys did lose Ben Chilwell to the likes of Chelsea, which is a huge loss to a huge opponent. And I don't think they'll do that well without the likes of Ben Chilwell, who in my opinion, one of the best left backs in the league. And along with that, Schmeichel makes way too many mistakes as of late. Evans getting a bit older, their midfield is absolutely perfect, but they lack attacking squad depth without the likes of Vardy, which hopefully Vardy doesn't get injured, but if Vardy gets injured, they could be in serious trouble. But until they improve on their squad depth, I can't see Leicester City getting into a European spot. 7th place on the Premier League table. Now this is where it gets really interesting, where you get to European spots and just missing out of European spots. I am going to put Wolverhampton Wanderers there, which is a pity because just like Leicester, it's a team I really do like. But looking at Wolverhampton Wanderers, they drew way too many games last season, and if they keep drawing like the way they did, by the end of this season they would have redrawn the Sistine Chapel, you know. But looking at Wolverhampton Wanderers, I think losing Doherty to Spurs is a huge loss in that right back position, especially because looking at their centre backs, I do think they have to improve when it comes to their defence and when it comes to creative ability in their midfield, because although I like the likes of Moutinho and Neves, they aren't creating the chances that they really should. I think the one really positive thing for Wolves is going into the season, now they know Adama Traore is a right wing, where in the last 2 seasons they've been a bit skeptical playing him right wing back, but now that Adama Traore has gone forward, I think they could do some serious damage in attack. In my opinion, if they want to get into a European spot, they need a player like Ruben Diaz from Benfica in the centre-back position. I think he would really fit well into the squad, but until they improve on that and replace Doherty in the right-back position, I think they're going to struggle. Now we get into the European spots, where in 6th place we have Arsenal. Now Arsenal fans, don't attack me. I know, I don't like you either. I've seen Arsenal fans absolutely everywhere, no matter where I go on about how they're going to apparently win the Premier League next season, which I don't know what Walter White has given you, but just stop. It's not going to happen. Yes, you won 2 trophies. Congratulations. You had a great season. No, you came 8th in the Premier League last season. You can be classified as a mid-table Premier League team now, but I do think you'll improve, and I do think you'll get a European spot. I do think you'll get 6th, but bar that, I don't see you getting much out of the season. What you do need is to make big transfers, because at the moment, all that's really happened is young players are going in, young players are going out. You guys have signed Willian, who, yes, had a great season at Chelsea, but is in his 30s. You guys need to make big name signings if you want to be a top club. Other than that, I don't see Arsenal performing super well this season, so please just stop saying you're going to win the Premier League. It's just not going to happen. 5th place and just missing out of a Champions League spot. Now this is very tricky, as 4th, 5th, 6th I think could all just be rotated. Absolutely anyone could get it. Okay, maybe not 6th. I don't think Arsenal could get into 4th place, even if they tried. But in 5th place, just missing out on the Champions League spot, I think it is going to be Tottenham Hotspurs, another team who will improve off of last season. And I think a huge factor is them getting Doherty in the right back position. I think he was such a great player for the likes of Wolves last season, and in my opinion, after maybe Wan-Bissaka, Trent and a few others, probably one of the best right backs in the league, and actually the top scoring Irishman in the Premier League last season. I think Doherty will do a serious job, but I don't see Spurs getting into a Champions League spot until they replace the likes of Eriksen. Yes, Dele Alli has done a great job, but I mean, bar a few celebrations, he's not that good overall, and they do need that really crucial attacking midfielder that Eriksen was for the club. Along with that, I do think they need a Vertonghen replacement, because at the end of the day, Alderweireld is getting old, and if you look at the likes of Davinson Sanchez, he can be very, very good, but they really do need to buy another centre-back. Maybe, as I mentioned for Wolves, Ruben Dias from Benfica could be a solid option, but as I said, until they get another player like Eriksen in the midfield, I don't see Spurs getting into a Champions League spot. We get into our first Champions League spot, 4th place. I'm happy to announce Manchester United. I don't think they'll do as well as last season where they got 3rd place. I think they will get 4th place, which, look, United fan here speaking, hi, Finn, I'm happy with the Champions League spots. And no, it's not just a biased opinion. I just really don't see Arsenal, Spurs or Wolves beating United in a Premier League spot next season. I mean, yes, they could do it in a fixture, but I just don't see any of them placing higher than United this season. I mean, looking at United, I think they could get into Champions League spots because they're adding more and more depth to their squad, and I think Van de Beek could really do a lot. But I don't think they could contend for the title anytime soon until they really buy some more world-class players like a Upamecano in the centre-back, or apparently we've already signed Jadon Sancho in the attack. You're right, and Japan's going to win the next World Cup. Relax. Now that we're getting into the top 3, absolutely anything can happen. With the likes of Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool, those 3 teams, absolutely anybody could win. But in 3rd place, I'm sorry you guys are going to hate me, but it's fine because I don't like you guys either. Liverpool in 3rd place. And no, I'm not just saying that as a salty United fan. If I really wanted to, I would have put United above Liverpool, but you know what? I don't see Liverpool competing with Chelsea and Man City this season. I think the only reason that Liverpool really dominated so much by points last season, why they were so far ahead, is the fact that majority of other teams really heavily underperformed last season. And I don't see the same happening this season. I do see Liverpool ending in a 3rd place position until they add more squad depth. Then I think they can retain that title from last season. But you know what, I don't see them doing the same this season, especially looking at them last season, how heavily their form dropped once they won the title. And unless they can fix that kind of attitude, I don't see them winning the title again this season. Especially signing-wise, the only signing they've made at the moment is a reserve left back at the time of recording, which not necessarily what you need to compete with the title. Now it is pretty much time to announce who I think will win the Premier League by mentioning who will come 2nd in the Premier League. But let me just say it, the dramatic drum roll is, I think the Premier League winners is going to be Manchester City. Yes, surprisingly enough, not Chelsea, and I'll explain that in a bit. But looking at the likes of Manchester City, I still think they're probably the best team in the Premier League at the moment in terms of squad depth. And I think buying Aka in the centre-back position is a huge signing for them. And I think now that they've got a proper centre-back partnership, they will be extremely strong. And a huge reason to why Liverpool, as I said, dominated last season was the fact that Man City heavily underperformed last season. But you know what, if Manchester City can really perform the way they did 2 and 3 seasons ago, I think they will be unstoppable. I think they've got the most squad depth, the most quality of players in their squad. I really do see them getting a pretty comfortable title win, or at least a really good race with the likes of Chelsea. As I said, Chelsea probably going to be 2nd this coming Premier League season, if not 1st, and that's why I can't put Liverpool as the title winners, because I can't see them beating either Chelsea or Man City. I mean, looking at Chelsea, I mean, I guess that's what you get with the transfer ban, is all this money, over £200 million spent on players like Ziyech, Havertz, Werner, Silva, Chilwell, other players. I mean, look, Chelsea looks so incredibly strong, but until we watch these players play together, I can't give Chelsea the title. Otherwise, if they perform well in the first few games, I can really give them the title. But the only reason I haven't given Chelsea the title is because City know how to play together. And with that centre-back partnership, as I said, I think they will be really well off. And I don't think them missing David Silva will be a huge loss for them. As I've said before, they've still got Foden there, Kevin De Bruyne, not a bad option for an attacking midfielder. Bernardo Silva can play there, Mahrez. I think City look like the strongest team going into the season, if they can pick up on their form from 2 seasons ago. So guys, that is it for today's video. As I said, probably pissed a lot of people off, but it's fine. That's how football works. Not everyone does agree. That's the beautiful part of it. That's why you should tell me your Premier League table predictions in the comment section down below. But otherwise guys, as I said, if you do enjoy regular Premier League content, please do consider subscribing to this channel. You will get a lot of Premier League content on this channel, and I would really appreciate the support. But otherwise guys, this has been Finn, FYNN. You guys are awesome. Stay awesome. Love every single one of you. Cheers.